Hello, and welcome to our Boris Karloff Tribute Weekend. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the festival director and program director for Something Wicked Film Festival, who is sponsoring this event. And welcome to one of our films this weekend, which is Arsenic and Old Lace, which does not star, but it has a guest appearance by the immortal Boris Karloff. And without further ado, I could just like to say that I've never seen this film before, and I just got a hold of it for this particular event. So I am as excited to see this film as everyone else. Now, throughout the screening of the movie, you are able to just add a little chat if you want, or make comments, and I'll relay them to everyone else so that we don't see your videos on the recording. In addition to that, I will be coming in and out of the video to say a few tidbits on most of the films, but because I've never seen this film myself, I probably will come in less often on this film unless someone else has something to say. But feel free to stop and put a little chat in, ask questions, or ask me to allow you access so you can tell us a little bit something about the film if you are a huge fan of the film and or a fan of Boris Karloff. That being said, for the rest of this weekend, we hope you enjoy this film as well as all the other films that star Boris Karloff, and we wish you happy watching.
Pour a generous glass of elderberry wine, and then add a pinch of... But let's wait for the whole story, as the Hallmark Hall of Fame brings Arsenic and Old Lace, the classic American comedy, to your own living room. Here's a show that played Broadway for over 3 years and has lived in the happy hearts of old and young alike ever since. Hallmark Cards. When you care enough to send the very best. Presents Tony Randall, Dorothy Stickney, Mildred Natwick, Tom Bosley, George Voskovec, and special guest star Boris Karloff in Arsenic and Old Lace by Joseph Kesselring, produced and directed by George Schaefer on the Hallmark Hall of Fame.
Indeed. My sister Martha and I have been talking all week about your sermon last Sunday. It's really wonderful, Dr. Harper. In only 2 short years, you've taken on the spirit of Brooklyn.
That's very gratifying, Miss Brewster.
Personally, I've always enjoyed my talks with Cardinal Gibbons. Or have I met him yet?
No, dear, not yet. Are the biscuits good?
Bully?
Another cup of tea, Dr. Harper.
No, thank you, Miss Happy. I must admit I find all the virtues of another day here in this house. The gentle virtues that went out with candlelight and good manners and low taxes.
It's one of the oldest houses in Brooklyn. It's just as it was when Grandfather Brewster built and furnished it. Except for the electricity, and we use it as little as possible. It was Mortimer who persuaded us to put it in.
Yes, I can understand that. Your nephew Mortimer seems to live only by electric light.
Well, the poor boy has to work so late. I understand he's taking Elaine with him to the theater again tonight. Teddy, your brother Mortimer will be here a little later.
Delighted.
Well, it's a new experience for me to wait up until 3 o'clock in the morning for my daughter to be brought home.
I hope you don't disapprove of Mortimer.
I certainly disapprove of his unfortunate connection with the theater.
The theater? Oh, no, Dr. Harper. Mortimer writes for a New York newspaper.
I know, Abby, but a drama critic is constantly exposed to the theater, and I don't doubt but what some of them do develop an interest in it.
Oh, not Mortimer. Mortimer hates the theater.
Really?
Yes, he writes awful things about it in the paper. Of course, you can't blame him, poor boy. He was so happy writing about real estate, which he really knows something about. And then they just made him take this terrible night position.
My.
There we are, Doctor. There is the home of my youth. As a boy, I couldn't wait to escape from that house. Now I'm glad to escape back into it.
There he is.
It's a fine hideout, Johnny. Family still live there. I hope there's a fatty calf awaiting the return of the prodigal. Yeah, I'm hungry. Look, Johnny, cops.
Music for some Keystone Cops there.
Who do you suppose that is? No, thank you, Teddy. I'll go here. Oh, come in, Mr. Brooker.
Hello, Miss Brewster.
How are you, Mr. Clark?
Very well, Miss Brewster.
What news have you brought me?
Colonel, we have nothing to report.
Splendid. Thank you, gentlemen. At ease.
You know Dr. Harper.
Oh, sure. How are you, Dr. Harper? We've come for the toys for the Orphans Fund.
Oh, yes.
That's a splendid work you men do. Fixing up discarded toys to give poor children.
It gives us something to do when we have to sit around the station. You get tired playing cards, and then you start cleaning your gun. The first thing you know, you've shot yourself in the foot.
Teddy, go upstairs and get that big box from your Aunt Martha's room. Bill, how is Mrs. Brophy today?
Oh, she's feeling much better. A little weak yet.
I'm going to get...
Oh, now don't you bother, Miss Abby. You've done so much already.
I won't be a minute. Just sit down and be comfortable, all of you.
She shouldn't go to all that trouble.
Listen, try to stop her or her sister from doing something nice, and for nothing. They don't even care how you vote.
Colonel, you promised you wouldn't do that.
But I have to call a cabinet meeting to get the release of those supplies.
He used to do that in the middle of the night. Neighbors raised Cain with us. He's quite harmless.
Suppose he does think he's Teddy Roosevelt. There's a lot worse people he could think he was.
Their father, Teddy's grandfather, I heard he was a little kooky, too.
Yeah, like a fox. He made $1 million.
Really? Here in Brooklyn?
Patent medicine. Used the house here as a sort of clinic. Tried them out on people.
I heard he made a mistake occasionally, too.
Well, he left his daughters fixed for life. Thank God for that.
Not that they ever spent any of it on themselves.
Yes, I'm well acquainted with their charities.
Oh, you don't know a tenth of it. When I was with the Missing Persons Bureau, I was trying to trace an old man we never did find. Do you know there's a renting agency who's got this house on its list for furnished rooms? They don't rent rooms. But you can bet that anybody comes here looking for a room goes away with a good meal and probably a few dollars in their kick.
Oh, isn't this nice?
Afternoon, Miss Brewster.
How do you do, Mr. Brophy? Dr. Harper. Mr. Klein.
How are you, Miss Brewster? We dropped in to get the toys.
Oh, yes. Teddy's Army and Navy. They wear out.
Your sister just gone to get some soup for me to take to Mrs. Brophy.
Oh, I just took some to a poor man who broke ever so many bones.
Oh, you're back, Martha. How was Mr. Benitsky?
He's pretty serious, I'm afraid, dear. The doctor was there. They're going to amputate in the morning.
Can we be present?
No. I asked him, but he said it was against the rules of the hospital or something.
Here's the broth, Mr. Brophy.
Thanks, ma'am.
Be sure it's good and hot.
Oh, yes, ma'am, I will.
Thank you, Colonel. We'll run along, ma'am, and thank you very much. This will make a lot of kids happy. Charge! Charge the blockhouse! The blockhouse?
The stairs are always San Juan Hill.
Oh.
Have you ever tried to persuade him that he wasn't Teddy Roosevelt?
Oh, no.
Oh, but he's so happy being Teddy Roosevelt.
Once, a long time ago, remember, Martha? We thought if he would be George Washington, it might make a nice change for him.
But he stayed under his bed for days and wouldn't be anybody.
And we'd so much rather he'd be Mr. Roosevelt than nobody.
Well, if he's happy, and what's more important, you're happy.
Okay.
Let's get out of here. Take it easy, Doctor. When the coast is clear, we'll pay our little call on Aunt Abby and Aunt Martha.
But, Johnny, we've got to do something quick. The police have got pictures of the case. I've got to operate on you right away. We've got to find some place for that. And we've got to find a place for Mr. Spinalzo, too.
Don't waste any worry on that rat.
can't leave a dead body in the trunk. Shouldn't have killed him, Johnny. He's a nice fellow, gives us a lift, and what happened?
He said I looked like Boris Karloff. That's your work, Doctor. You did that to me.
Now, Johnny, we'll find a place somewhere, and I'll fix you up quick.
Tonight.
Oh, Elaine will be over here looking for me.
Give our love to Elaine. And Dr. Harper, please don't think harshly of Mortimer because he's a drama critic. Somebody has to do those things.
Did you just have tea? Isn't it rather late?
Yes, and dinner's going to be late, too.
So? Why?
Teddy, good news for you. You're going to Panama to dig another lock for the canal.
Delighted. That's bully. Just bully. I shall prepare at once for the journey. Charge!
While I was out?
Yes, dear. I just couldn't wait for you. I didn't know when you'd be back. And Dr. Harper was coming.
But all by yourself?
Oh, I got along just fine.
I'll run right downstairs and see.
No, dear, there wasn't time. And I was all alone. Huh? Martha, just look in the window seat. Oh, Elaine. Come in, dear.
Good afternoon, Miss Abby. Good afternoon, Miss Martha. I thought Father was here.
He just this minute left. Didn't you meet him?
No, I took the shortcut through the cemetery. Mortimer hasn't come yet?
No, dear.
We're going to the theater tonight. He asked me to meet him here.
Oh, you really must speak to Mortimer about doing this to you.
Doing what?
Why, he was brought up to know better. When a gentleman is taking a young lady out, he should call for her at her house.
Oh, there's something about calling for a girl at a parsonage that discourages any man who doesn't embroider.
Hi, Lane.
Hello, Mortimer. How are you,
Aunt Abby?
darling?
Mortimer.
I'm all right.
It's good to see you.
You both look well. You haven't changed much since yesterday.
Oh, my goodness, it was yesterday, wasn't it?
We're seeing a great deal of you lately. Now, come on, sit down, sit down.
Abby, haven't we something to do in the kitchen?
You know, the tea things. Oh, yes, the tea things. Well, you two just make yourselves at home.
Just make yourself at home.
Well,
Well?
can't you take a hint?
Oh, I thought that was pretty obvious. Showed a certain lack of inventiveness, I should say.
Yes, that's exactly what you'd say.
Well, where would you like to go for dinner?
Well, I don't care. I'm not very hungry.
Well, I just had breakfast, so what do you say we wait till after the show tonight?
Then I'd better tell Father not to wait up for me tonight.
I didn't know that was still being done. I just can't rationalize it somehow.
What?
My falling in love with a preacher's daughter.
Darling.
I may give that show tonight a good notice.
Now, don't pretend you love me that much.
See, I got a good idea.
What?
Let's run off someplace tonight and get married.
I'm afraid Father will insist on officiating.
Everything formal and legal, huh? Well, all right, but no later than next month. Hello, Mortimer. How are you, Mr. President? Bully, thank you, just bully. What news have you brought?
Only this, Mr. President. The country is squarely behind you.
Yes, I know. Isn't it wonderful? Well, goodbye. Goodbye.
Where are you off to, Teddy?
Panama.
Panama?
That's down in the cellar. He digs locks for the canal down there.
You're so sweet with him, and he's very fond of you.
Teddy was always my favorite brother.
Favorite? Were there more of you?
Yes, there's another brother, Jonathan.
I never heard of him. Your aunt's never mentioned him.
No, we don't like to talk about Jonathan. He left Brooklyn very early by request.
What became of him?
I don't know. He wanted to become a surgeon like grandfather, but he wouldn't go to medical school first, and his practice got him into trouble.
Darling, I really must run over to tell Father not to wait up for me tonight.
I'll pick you up in 10 minutes.
Before I go out with you, he likes to pray over me a little.
If the prayer isn't too long, I'll have time to lead you beside distilled waters.
First time I ever heard Mortimer from the Bible.
Mortimer, we knew Elaine would be a good influence for you.
Oh? By the way, I'm going to marry her.
Oh, married.
Oh, darling.
Oh, Mortimer.
Oh, we hoped it would happen just like this.
Elaine must be the happiest girl in the world.
When I was here last week, I left a large brown envelope. It was one of the chapters of my new book. Have you seen it?
If you left it here, dear, it must be here somewhere.
Mortimer, how can you be thinking about your book, what with Elaine and the engagement and everything?
And to think it happened in this room.
Well, with your fiancé sitting beside you tonight, I do hope the play will be something romantic. What's the name of it?
Murder Will Out.
Oh, dear.
When the curtain goes up, the first thing you'll see will be a dead body. And Abby! And Martha! And Abby!
Oh, yes, dear.
You know, you were going to make plans to send Teddy to that sanitarium, Happydale.
Yes, dear, it's all arranged. Dr. Harper was here today and brought the papers for Teddy to sign.
He's got to sign them right away. Teddy's got to go to Happydale now, tonight.
Oh, no, dear. That's not until after we've passed on.
Right away, I tell you, right away.
Why, Mortimer, how can you say such a thing? Why, as long as we live, we'll never be separated from Teddy.
Darlings, I've got shocking news for you. Now, we've all got to try to keep our heads about us. Teddy's killed a man.
Nonsense, dear.
There's a body in the window seat.
Yes, dear, we know.
You know?
Why,
Of course, dear. But it has nothing to do with Teddy.
now, Mortimer, just forget about it. Forget you ever saw the gentleman.
Forget?
We never dreamed you'd peek.
But who is he?
His name is Hoskins. Adam Hoskins. That's really all I know about him. Except that he's a Methodist.
How did he get here? What happened to him?
He died.
And Martha, men just don't get into window seats and die.
Of course not, dear. He died first.
But how?
Oh, Mortimer, don't be so inquisitive. The gentleman died because he drank some wine with poison in it.
How did the poison get in the wine?
Well, we put it in wine because it's less noticeable. When it's in tea, it has a distinct odor.
You put it in the wine?
Yes, and I put Mr. Hoskins in the window seat because Dr. Harper was coming.
Well, then you knew what you were doing. You didn't want Dr. Harper to see the body.
Well, no, dear, not at tea. That wouldn't have been very nice. Now, Mortimer, you know the whole thing. Just forget all about it. I do think your Aunt Martha and I have the right to our own little secrets.
And don't
There's
you
something to be
violate-
said about these old school films that are much more innocent than what could happen today.
And Abby. And Martha. What are we going to do?
What are we going to do about what, dear?
There's a body in there.
Yes, Mr. Hoskins. We told you to forget all about it.
Forget! Can't I make you realize that something has to be done?
Now, Mortimer, you behave yourself. You're too old to be flying off the handle like this.
But Mr. Hotchkiss,
Hoskins, dear.
well, whatever his name is, you can't leave him there.
Why, we don't intend to, dear.
No, Teddy's down in the cellar now, digging the lock.
You mean you're going to bury Mr. Hotchkiss in the cellar?
Yes, dear. That's what we did with the others.
No, you... Others?
The other gentleman.
Now, when you say others, do you mean others, more than one others?
Oh, yes. This is, let me see. This is 11, isn't it, Abby?
No, dear, this makes 12.
I think you're wrong, Abby. This is only 11.
No, dear, because I remember when Mr. Hoskins first came in, it occurred to me that he would make just an even dozen.
But you shouldn't really count the first one.
Oh, but I was counting the first one. That makes it 12.
Hello, Al. Do you know who this is? That's right. Say, Al, when I left the office, I told you where I was going, remember? Well, where did I say? Mm-hmm. Well, it would take me about a half an hour to get to Brooklyn. What time have you got? That's right. I must be here. Let's see. Where were we? 12!
Oh, yes. Abby says we ought to count the first one, so that makes 12.
Now, who was the first one?
Mr. Midgley. He was a Baptist. Of course, I still think we can't take full credit for him because He just died.
Martha means without any help from us. You see, Mr. Midgley came here looking for a room, and it didn't seem right for that lovely room of yours to be going to waste when so many people needed it.
Oh, he was such a lonely old man. All his kith and kin were dead. He was so forlorn and unhappy.
And then when his heart attack came, and he sat dead in that chair looking so peaceful. Remember, Martha? We made up our minds then and there that if we could help other lonely old men to that same peace, we would.
He dropped dead right in that chair. Oh, how awful for you.
Why, no, dear. It was really like old times. Your grandfather always had a cadaver or two around the house. You see, Teddy had been digging in Panama, and he thought that Mr. Midgley was a yellow fever victim.
That meant he had to be buried immediately.
So we all took him down to Panama and put him in the lock. Now, that's why we tell you not to worry, dear, because we know exactly what's to be done.
All this started with this man just walking in here and dropping dead?
Well, of course, we realized we couldn't depend on that happening again.
You remember the jars of poison that have been on the shelves in your grandfather's laboratory all these years?
You know your Aunt Martha's knack for mixing things. You've eaten enough of her piccalilli.
Well, dear, for a gallon of elderberry wine, I take a teaspoonful of arsenic and add a half teaspoonful of strychnine and just a pinch of cyanide.
Should have quite a kick.
As a matter of fact, one of our gentlemen found time to say, how delicious.
Well, I'd better be getting back to my dinner.
I wish you could stay, Mortimer.
I'm trying out a new recipe.
I couldn't eat a thing.
Oh.
Hello?
So, having never seen this before, this seems like it's going to be a screwball comedy.
Oh, no. Hi, it's good to hear your voice.
Darling, whatever's taking you so long? Father could see that I was excited, so I told him all about it. He wants to talk to you right away.
Oh, I can't make it tonight, Lynn. I'll call you tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
You know I always call you up every day or two.
But we're going to the theater tonight.
No, we're not.
Well, why not?
Lane, something's come up.
What time? Lost your job.
Oh, no, nothing like that. I'm just not covering that play tonight.
But I've got to know what's happened. Certainly you can tell me.
No, dear, I can't.
But if we're going to be married...
Married?
Have you forgotten that not 15 minutes ago you proposed to me?
I did? Oh, well, that's still on.
Listen, you can't propose to me 1 minute and then... Mortimer?
City desk, give me Al, quick. Oh, Al, get a hold of George right away. He's got to cover that play tonight. I can't make it. I'll tell you all about it tomorrow.
Come in.
I understand you got a room for rent.
Yes, we have.
Well, look
Won't
around
you step in?
Yes, I'll hold
I'm
on.
Miss Brewster. And my sister is another Miss Brewster.
Well, my name is Gibbs.
This is my sister. Won't you sit down, Mr. Gibbs?
Is Brooklyn your home?
Haven't got a home. Live in a hotel. Don't like it.
Are your family Brooklyn people?
Haven't got any family.
All alone in the world?
My apartment is...
Yep.
Well, Martha. Well, you've come to just the right house. Do sit.
Somebody's got to review the play tonight. Look around the office. What about the office boy? You know, the bright one, the one we don't like. Will you look around for him?
Is there always this much noise here?
Yes, I'll hold on.
He doesn't live with us.
Well, I really would like to see the room.
Why don't you sit down and let's get acquainted?
Hello?
Won't do much good if I don't
All
like
right,
the
I'll cover
room.
the first act,
Won't
but I'm
you
warning
try a
I'm
glass
gonna pan
of
the hell
our
out of it.
elderberry wine?
Now, listen,
We make it
you've gotta do
ourselves.
something. Get hold of O'Brien.
Elderberry wine.
O'Brien, the head of our
I
legal
haven't
department.
tasted elderberry
Have him meet
wine
me at the
since I
theater.
was a boy.
No, I'm not drinking, but I'm going to start right now.
Well, thank you. Do you serve meals here?
We might. But first, see whether you like our wine.
Mortimer.
Mortimer, not that.
Get out! Get out!
Now you've spoiled everything.
can't do things like that. I don't know how to explain this to you, but it's not only against the law, it's wrong. It's not a nice thing to do. People wouldn't understand. He wouldn't understand.
Abby, we shouldn't have told Mortimer.
Well, I mean, this has developed into a very bad habit.
Mortimer, we don't try to stop you from doing things you like to do. I don't see why you should interfere with us.
Look, I've got to go to the theater. I can't get out of it. While I'm gone, I want you to do one thing for me.
Well, we'd have to know what it was first.
Don't do anything. Don't do anything. And don't let anybody in this house. And leave Mr. Hoskins right where he is.
We were planning on holding services before dinner.
Services?
Oh, you don't think we bury Mr. Hoskins without a full Methodist service, do you? Why, he was a Methodist.
Well, can't that wait until I get back?
Oh, then you can join us.
Yes! Yes!
Mortimer, you will enjoy the services, especially the hymns.
Now, where are the commitment papers for Teddy that Dr. Harper gave?
I'll get them, dear.
Aunt Martha, could you please get me some stationery?
Yes, dear.
There's a man I've got to see. I'll be back just as soon as I can. Oh, good. Fine. Thanks. I can save time if I write my review on the way to the theater.
Mortimer didn't seem quite himself today.
Well, that's only natural. I think I know why. Why? He's just become engaged to be married. I suppose that always makes a man nervous.
I suppose so. Abby, if Mortimer's going to join us for the services, we'll need another hymnal. There's one in my room.
You know, dear, it's really my turn to read the services. But since you weren't here when Mr. Hoskins came, I want you to do it.
Very nice of you, Abby. Are you sure you want me to?
It's only fair.
Grandfather's laboratory. Just as it was. Johnny, this is a perfect operating room. Here I can fix your face. Of course. And after you've finished with me, why, we can make a fortune here. There's a large ward in the attic. 10 beds, Doctor. And Brooklyn is crying for your talents.
Oh, why work yourself up, Johnny? Maybe your aunts won't want to see.
Doctor, 2 helpless old women.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Why, Aunt Abby, Aunt Martha. It's Jonathan.
Get out of here.
But I'm Jonathan, your nephew, Jonathan.
Oh, no, you're not. You're not anything like Jonathan, so don't pretend you are. You just get out of here.
But, Aunt Abby, I am Jonathan. And this is Dr. Einstein.
And he's not Dr. Einstein either. Dr. Einstein is dead.
Not Dr. Albert Einstein, Dr. Herman Einstein.
Well, you're not our nephew, Jonathan.
I see you're still wearing the lovely garnet ring that Grandma Brewster bought in England. And you, Aunt Martha, still the high collar? To hide the scar where Grandfather's acid burned you.
What voice is like Jonathan's?
Have you been in an accident?
No, my face. Dr. Einstein is responsible for that. He's a plastic surgeon. He changes people's faces.
I've seen that face before. Do you remember when we took the little Schultz boy to the movies and I was so frightened? It was that face.
Easy, Johnny, easy. Don't worry, ladies. The last 5 years, I give Johnny 3 new faces. I give him another one right away. This last face, well, I saw that picture too, just before I operate. I was intoxicated.
You see, Doctor? You see what you've done to me? Even my own family.
They know you, Johnny. You know it's Jonathan. Speak to him. Tell him so.
Well, Jonathan, it's been a long time. Where have you been all these years?
Oh, England, South Africa, Australia, the last 5 years, Indiana. But it's wonderful to be in Brooklyn again. Oh, and you too, Abby, Martha. You don't look a day older. Just as I remembered you. Sweet, charming, hospitable. And dear Teddy. Did he go into politics? My little brother, Doctor, was determined to become president.
Teddy's fine, just fine, and Mortimer's well, too.
I know about Mortimer. I've seen his picture at the head of his column. He's evidently fulfilled all the promise of his early nasty nature.
We're very fond of Mortimer.
Well, Jonathan, it's been very nice to have seen you again.
Bless you, Aunt Martha. It's good to be home again.
We're glad you remembered us and took the trouble to come in and say hello. But you were never happy in this house. And we were never happy while you were in it. So goodbye, Jonathan.
Oh, Aunt Abby, I understand how you feel towards me. I've regretted so often the many heartaches I must have given you as a boy.
You were quite a trial to us, Jonathan.
But my great disappointment is for Dr. Einstein. I promised him that no matter how rushed we were in passing through Brooklyn, I'd take the time to bring him here for one of Aunt Martha's home-cooked dinners.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm afraid there wouldn't be enough.
Oh, Abby, it's quite a good size.
Hot roast.
It seems to me the least we could do.
Thank you, Aunt Martha. We'll stay for dinner.
I'll help Martha get things started. Since we're all in such a hurry.
Well, Johnny, you get a meal anyway.
Oh, leave it to me, Doctor. I'll handle it. Why, this house will be our headquarters for years.
It's like comes true, a beautiful dream. Only I hope you're not dreaming.
So peaceful. That's what makes this house so perfect for us. Ah, it's so peaceful.
I knew that was coming.
Charge the blockhouse!
My meeting Dr. Einstein in London changed the whole course of my life. You see, I wanted to go back to South Africa. Dr. Einstein made it possible for me.
Good job, Johnny. When we take off the bandages, his face looked so different, the nurse had to introduce me.
I loved that face. I always carried the picture with me.
That's more the way you used to look, but I still wouldn't know you.
I think we'll go back to that place, Doctor.
Yeah, it's safe now.
Well, Jonathan, you led a very interesting life, I'm sure, but we really shouldn't have allowed you to talk so late.
We know you both want to go to wherever you're going.
My dear aunts, I'm so full of that delicious dinner, I just can't move a muscle.
I found it.
What you find,
The
Teddy?
picture I was telling you about, General. Here we are, both of us. President Roosevelt and General Goethals at Culebra Cut. That's me, General. That's you.
Ah, how I changed.
Well, you see, that picture hasn't been taken yet. And now, General, we will both go to Panama to inspect the new lot.
No, Teddy, not to Panama.
We'll go some other time. Panama is a long way off.
Nonsense, it's just down in the cellar.
The cellar?
We let him dig the Panama Canal in the cellar.
General Goethals, as President of the United States, Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy, and the man who gave you this job, I demand you accompany me on the inspection of the new lock.
Teddy, I think it's time you went to bed.
I beg your pardon. Who are you?
I'm Woodrow Wilson. Go to bed.
No, you're not Wilson, but your face is familiar. Now, let me see. You're not anyone I know now. Perhaps later. Yes, on my hunting trip to Africa. You look like someone I might meet in the jungle.
Teddy, perhaps you had better go to bed, dear. Our guests have to get back to their hotel.
General Goethals, inspect the canal.
All right, Mr. President. We go to Panama.
Bully, follow me. Oh, it's down south, you know.
Bon voyage.
Aunt Abby, I must correct your misapprehension. We have no hotel. This is my home.
Jonathan, you can't stay here.
Dr. Einstein and I need a place to sleep. This afternoon, you remember that as a boy I could be disagreeable? Well, it wouldn't be very pleasant for any of us.
You'd better let them stay here tonight.
Well, just overnight, Jonathan.
That's settled. Will you get my room ready now?
It just needs airing out.
We keep it ready to show our lodgers.
Oh, I forgot to tell you. We're turning Grandfather's laboratory into an operating room. We expect to be quite busy.
Jonathan, we will not let you turn this house into a hospital.
A hospital? Heavens, no, it'll be a beauty parlor.
Johnny, down in the cellar.
Dr. Einstein, my dear aunts have invited us to live with them.
Oh, you fixed it.
You get my room ready now?
No.
Just for tonight.
John, when I go down into the cellar, what do you think I find?
What?
The Panama Canal.
The Panama Canal.
But it just fits Mr. Spinalzo.
What?
It's a hole Daddy dug. 6 feet long, 4 feet wide. Down there. You'd think they knew we were bringing him along. That's hospitality.
Rather a good joke of my aunt's. They're living in a house with a body buried in the cellar.
How do we get him in?
Yes, we'll wait till they've gone to bed, and we'll bring Mr. Spinalzo in through the window.
Jonathan, your room is ready.
Then you can go to bed. We're moving the car up behind the hut.
Oh, it will be all right where it is until morning.
Well, I don't want to leave it out in the street. That might be against the law.
What are we going to do? Well, we're not going to let them spend more than one night in this house, for one thing. What would the neighbors think? People coming in here with one face and going out with another.
What are we going to do about Mr. Hoskins?
Oh, Mr. Hoskins. And he's been so patient, poor dear. Well, I think Teddy had better get him downstairs right away. Teddy!
I'm not going to invite Jonathan to the funeral services.
Oh, no. We'll wait until after they've gone to bed. Teddy, there's been another yellow fever victim.
Dear me. Oh, this will be a shock to General Goethals. Where is the poor devil?
In the window seat.
It seems to be spreading. We've never had yellow fever there before.
I think you'd better take the poor man down to the canal right away. We'll go up and dress for the services.
Oh, you may announce that the president will say a few words.
Yes, dear.
I'm going to wear my black bombazine and Mother's old brooch.
Push him, I pull him, and together we get him down to Panama. Let it open. Okay, Johnny. Hurry up. Wait a minute, you lost your legs. Come on.
slipped, Garbo. His shoe came off. Doctor, hurry. Someone rolled up in a taxi.
Aunt Abby? And Martha? Are you still up? Who's there?
Who are you?
Hello, Mortimer.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I've come back home, Mortimer.
Nothing! I've caught a couple of burglars. Nothing to be afraid of. Go back to your room.
No, Mortimer. That's your brother, Jonathan.
Who?
Your brother, Jonathan. He's had his face changed. And this is Dr. Einstein, who performed the operation.
Dr. Einstein? A surgeon of great distinction. And something of a magician.
Jonathan? You always were a horror, but do you have to look like one?
Have you forgotten, Mortimer, the things I used to do to you when we were boys? Remember the time you were tied to the bedpost, the needles under your fingernails?
Yes, it's Jonathan, all right. The most vicious, venomous form of animal life I've ever known.
Now, don't you two boys start quarreling again just the minute you've seen each other.
There'll be no fight, Aunt Abby. Jonathan, you're not wanted here. Get out.
Dr. Einstein and I have been invited to stay.
Not in this house.
Just for tonight.
All right. But in the morning, out. Where are they sleeping?
We'll put them in Jonathan's old room.
That's my old room. I'm sleeping in that room. I'm here to stay.
Oh, Mortimer, I'm so glad.
Johnny, we sleep down here.
You bet your sweet life you sleep down here.
You sleep on the sofa, I sleep on the window seat.
Window seat? Let's not argue about it. Window seat's good enough for me for tonight. I'll sleep on the old window seat.
You know, Johnny, all this argument, it makes me think of Mr. Spinalzo.
Spinalzo? Well, Mortimer, it really isn't necessary to inconvenience you like this. We'll sleep down here.
Jonathan, your sudden consideration for me is most unexpected.
By the way, Doctor, I've completely lost track of Mr. Spinalzo.
Who's this Mr. Spinalzo?
Just a friend of ours Johnny has been looking for. While we get our bags out of the car, I'll tell you all about Mr. Spinalzo.
Now, where's Teddy?
In Panama, dear.
Good. I've just seen the head of our legal department and everything's in order on his commitment papers. First, Teddy must sign them, and then I must get a doctor's signature.
Mortimer, what is the matter with you?
Running around getting papers signed at this time of night.
You're looking very tired. You're working much too hard.
Mhm.
Let me get you a nice cup of tea.
Better make it coffee, strong, and some sandwiches. I haven't had dinner.
It won't take a minute.
Mr. President?
I'll go and help you, dear.
Mr. President?
Excuse me.
Mr. President, I have a proclamation here that requires your signature.
Bully!
You can sign right down here, Mr. President.
Nonsense. A proclamation must be signed in private.
But at once.
I have to put on my signing clothes. Charge!
Hello?
Mr. Brewster, I've been sitting by this phone all evening waiting for an explanation. I want to know where I stand. Do you love me?
I love you very much, Elaine. In fact, I love you so much that I can't marry you.
Have you suddenly gone crazy?
Oh, I don't think so, but it's just a matter of time. You see, Elaine, insanity runs in my family. It practically gallops. That's why I can't marry you.
Now, wait a minute. You've got to do better than that.
Oh, no, Elaine, this is something that goes way back. My grandfather, he tried out his patent medicines on dead people to make sure he wouldn't kill them.
He wasn't so crazy. He made $1 million.
And then there's Teddy. You know Teddy. No, Elaine, no Brewster should ever marry. I realize now that if I'd met my father in time, I'd have stopped him.
But, darling, look at your aunts. They're Brewsters, aren't they? And the sanest, sweetest people I've ever known.
Well, even they have their peculiarities.
Yes, but what lovely peculiarities. Kindness, generosity, human sympathy.
There's another one!
Mortimer, There's plenty of us.
Elaine, if you love me, get in your car, drive out to Happydale now, right away. Tell Mr. Witherspoon he must pick up Teddy tonight. It's an emergency.
But, darling, do you know what time it is?
Oh, I'm acting rationally. Just put it down to the fact that I'm a mad Brewster.
If you think you're going to get out of this by pretending you're insane, you're crazy. Maybe you're not going to marry me, but I'm going to marry you. I love you, you dope.
Go for Mr. Witherspoon.
Mortimer. Mortimer?
And Abby. And Martha, come in here. Come in here this minute. President, please don't do that, Mr. President.
I cannot sign any proclamation without consulting my cabinet.
But this must be a secret.
A secret proclamation? How unusual. Very well, you have the word of the President of the United States. Cross my heart, hope to die.
Yes, dear, what is it?
And Abby, I told you not to let anyone in this house while I was gone.
Well, Jonathan just walked.
I don't mean Jonathan.
And Dr. Einstein.
I don't mean Dr. Einstein. Who's that in the window seat?
Well, we told you, dear, Mr. Hoskins.
This is not Mr. Hoskins.
Who can that be?
Are you trying to tell me you've never seen that man before?
Oh, I certainly am. Well, this is a fine how do you do. It's getting so anybody thinks he can walk into this house.
Aunt Abby, don't you try to get out of this. That's another one of your gentlemen.
Mortimer, that man is an imposter. And if he came here to be buried in our cellar, he's mistaken.
You told me that you put Mr. Hoskins in the window seat.
Yes, I did.
Well, this man couldn't have just got the idea from Mr. Hoskins. By the way, where is Mr. Hoskins?
Oh, he must have gone to Panama.
Oh, you buried him.
No, not yet. He's just down there waiting for the services, poor dear. We haven't had a minute, what with Jonathan in the house. We always wanted to hold a double funeral. But I will not read services over a total stranger.
But, Abby, how can I believe you? There are 12 men in the cellar, and you told me that you poisoned them.
Yes, I did. But you don't think I'd stoop to telling a fib? Martha!
Oh, Mortimer. I'd like to have a word with you.
Word's all you're going to have time for, Jonathan, because I've decided that you and your doctor friend are not going to spend even one night in this house.
Well, I'm glad you realize that you and I can't live under the same roof. But you've arrived at the wrong conclusion. I'm staying and you're leaving, and I mean now.
If you think I have anything to fear, if you think I'm frightened of you...
I've lived a strange life, Mortimer, but it's taught me one thing, to be afraid of nothing.
Just look and see what's in that window seat.
No, Aunt Abby!
Oh.
Jonathan, let Aunt Martha see what's in the window seat. Aunt Abby, I owe you an apology. I have good news for you. Jonathan is leaving, and he's taking Dr. Einstein and their cold companion with him. Jonathan, you're my brother. You're a Brewster. I'm going to let you get away and take the evidence with you. Now, you can't ask for more than that. Very well. In that case, I'll have to call for the police.
Don't reach for that telephone. Are you still giving me orders after seeing what happened to Mr. Spinalzo?
I knew he was a foreigner.
Remember, what happened to Mr. Spinalzo can happen to you, too.
Is anybody home?
Miss Abby!
Mr. Brophy and Mr. Klein.
Good evening, Miss Abby.
Well, is there something we can do for you?
Well, we're sorry to disturb you, but the colonel's got to stop blowing that horn.
We promised the neighbors he wouldn't do that anymore. Lieutenant Rooney says if there's one more toot, he'll come down here and handle it himself.
It won't happen again. We'll speak to Teddy about it.
Oh, sorry to bother you. I see you have company.
Well, we'll be running along.
No. Come in. Come in.
Yes, come in. This is our nephew, Mortimer.
How do you
Pleased
do?
to meet you.
Likewise.
This is another nephew, Jonathan.
I'm pleased to make your acquaintance. Well, are your nephews going to be staying with you for a bit?
I'm staying, yes. My brother Jonathan is just leaving.
I've met you before.
I don't think so.
Jonathan hasn't been home for years.
Your face does look familiar.
Johnny, let's get
Just a minute,
going.
Jonathan. You can't go yet. Got to take everything with you, you know.
Well, you'll be wanting to say your goodbyes. We'll be running along.
Oh, what's your rush? We were just going to have some coffee and sandwiches. Won't you stay, have a bite?
Of course they will.
As a matter of fact, I could eat a little something.
I'll make some more sandwiches. I ought to know your appetite by this time.
We won't be a minute. We'll bring something right in.
No, we'll join you. That is, if you gentlemen don't mind eating in the kitchen.
Where else would you eat?
Goodbye, Jonathan. Nice to have seen you again.
Jonathan, I'm glad you've come back to Brooklyn because it gives me the chance to throw you out. Now get going, all three of you.
Doctor, this affair between my brother and me has got to be settled.
Now, Johnny, your brother gives us a chance to get away. What more could you ask?
You don't understand. This goes back a good many years.
Now, Johnny, let's get going.
No, we're not going. We're going to sleep right here tonight.
With cops in the kitchen and Mr. Spinalzo in the window seat.
That's all he's got on us. So we take Mr. Spinalzo down and dump him in the bay and come right back here. Then if he tries to interfere...
John.
Doctor, you know when I make up my mind.
Yes, when you make up your mind, you lose your head.
Doctor.
All right, Johnny. We've got to stick together. Someday we get stuck together. If we're coming right back, do we got to take these with us?
No, leave them here. Hide them all in the cellar. Move fast. Spinalzo can go out the same way he came in. What's the matter?
You know the hole in the cellar?
Yeah?
We got an ace in the hole. Come, I'll show you.
Miss Martha, nobody can beat your meatloaf sandwiches.
Boy.
Jonathan! Jonathan!
Yes, Mortimer?
What are you two still doing here? I thought I told you...
We're not going.
You think I'm kidding about this, huh? Won't the cops know what's in that window seat?
We're staying here.
Okay. You asked for it. Officers! Officers, will you come in here, please?
If you tell them what's in the window seat, I'll tell them what's down in the cellar.
Cellar?
There's an elderly gentleman down there who seems to be very dead.
What are you doing in the cellar?
What's he doing in the cellar?
Thank you, Miss Martha, Miss Abbott. That was fine. We had 20.
Start eating run, man. We're going to check in again with the station. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Oh, Mortimer, what were you going to say to the officers?
Good night.
Good night, sir.
Oh, good night, Mr. Brewster.
Would you take the bags down to the cellar?
Sure, be glad to.
No! Now if you're going to be late checking in. You know, there's one thing we admire in the police department is punctuality.
Oh, well, that's the way you feel about it.
Nice to have met you both.
Does old Dr. Gilchrist still live down the street there?
Right down the corner, Autumn Avenue.
Thanks.
You feeling all right?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Fine.
Good night, Mr. Brewster.
Make yourself comfortable, Doctor.
He got him right where we wanted. He looks guilty.
I'll be back in 5 minutes, and I'll expect to find you gone. Wait for me.
We'll wait for him, Doctor. I've waited a long time for a chance like this.
Has he gone? Oh. We thought we heard somebody leave.
Just Mortimer, and he'll be back in a few minutes.
If you're still here when Mortimer gets back, he won't like it.
He'll like it. He's gonna like it.
Get something for us to eat while we bury Mr. Spinalzo in the cellar.
Oh, no. He can't stay in our cellar. No, Jonathan, you've got to take him with you.
There's a friend of Mortimer's downstairs waiting for him.
A friend of Mortimer's?
He and Mr. Spinalzo will get along fine together. They're both dead.
Must be Mr. Hoskins.
Mr. Hoskins, you know about what's downstairs?
Of course we do. And he's no friend of Mortimer's. He's one of our gentlemen.
Yes, gentlemen.
And we won't have any strangers buried in our cellar.
But Mr. Hoskins...
Mr. Hoskins isn't a stranger.
Besides, there is no room for Mr. Spinalzo. The cellar is crowded already.
Crowded? With what?
There are 12 graves down there now. That leaves very little room, and we're going to need it.
You mean you and Aunt Martha have murdered?
Murdered? Certainly not. It's one of our charities.
That's what we've been doing is a mercy.
So you just take your Mr. Spinalzo out of here.
You've done that here in this house, and you buried them down there?
Johnny, we've been chased all over the world. They stayed right here in Brooklyn, and they did just as good as you do.
Huh?
You got 12, they got 12.
I've got 13.
No, Johnny, 12.
13. There's Mr. Spinalzo. Then the first one in London, 2 in Johannesburg, 1 in Sydney, 1 in Melbourne, 2 in San Francisco, 1 in Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix?
The filling station. The 3 in Chicago and the 1 in South Bend. That makes 13.
But you can't count the one in South Bend. He died of pneumonia.
He wouldn't have got pneumonia if I hadn't shot him.
Oh, Johnny, he died of pneumonia. He don't count.
He counts with me. I say 13.
Oh, Johnny, 12. You got 12, they got 12. The old ladies are just as good as you are.
Oh, they are they? Well, that's easily taken care of. All I need is 1 more, that's all. Just 1 more.
Well, here I am.
You stop doing that.
This is our house, and we will not have our cellar desecrated.
Ladies, stay upstairs where you belong.
Abby, Martha, stay upstairs.
No use you're doing what you're doing because it will just have to be undone.
So you better stop it right now.
You wait till Mortimer gets back. You'll find out whose house this is. That's a terrible thing to do, to bury a good Methodist with a foreigner.
And we promised Mr. Hoskins a full Christian funeral. Mortimer, where have you been?
Looking for Elaine. It's all right. Her car's gone. She'll be here soon.
Mortimer, do you know what Jonathan's doing?
He is putting Mr. Hoskins and Mr. Spinalzo in together.
Oh, he is he?
Well, let him. Well, Mortimer, if you're not going to do something about Mr. Spinalzo, we are. Come, Martha, we're going for the police.
Police? No, you can't go for the police.
Why can't we?
Because if you tell the police about Mr. Spinalzo, they find Mr. Hoskins, too. And that might make them curious. And then they find the other 12 gentlemen.
Now, Mortimer, we know the police better than you do. I don't think they'd pry into our private affairs if we asked them not to.
Let me handle this. I've got Teddy's commitment papers all signed. If I can make him responsible for those 12 graves, I can protect you. Don't you see?
No, I don't see. And we pay the police to protect us.
We may have to go to the police later when I'm ready for them. For now, please let's do this my way and go to bed.
Well, you'll just have to get Jonathan out of this house.
And Mr. Spinalzo, too.
They'll both be out before you get up in the morning. I promise you that. Now, off to bed we go. Pleasant dreams.
That is all fixed up. Smooth as a lake. Nobody would ever know they were down there. Now, come on, Johnny. We go to bed, yes? 48 hours we didn't sleep.
You're forgetting, Doctor.
What?
My brother, Mortimer.
Oh, Johnny, please, I'm tired. Tomorrow I got to operate.
Yes, you're operating tomorrow. But tonight we take care of Mortimer.
No, Johnny, not tonight.
Doctor, look at me. You can see it's got to be done, can't you?
Yeah, I can see. I know that look. But the quick twist, like in London.
For Mortimer, the Melbourne method.
You go, please, huh? Johnny's in a bad mood. When he's like this, he's a madman. Things happen. Terrible things. I'm warning you. Get away quick.
Jonathan doesn't worry me now.
Oh, don't those plays that you see teach you anything?
About what?
Well, at least people in plays act like they had sense. That's more than you do.
I wish you had to sit through some of the ones I have to sit through. Take the little opus I saw tonight. In this play, there's a man. He's supposed to be bright. He's been warned that he's in a house with murderers. But does he go? No, he stays there. Now I ask you, Doctor, is that what an intelligent person would do?
You're asking me.
He doesn't have enough sense enough to be on guard. For instance, the murderer invites him to sit down.
You mean, won't you sit down?
Believe it or not, that one was in there, too.
And what did he do?
He sat down. And what do you think they used to tie him up with?
What?
The curtain cord.
Well, why not? Very convenient.
A little too convenient. When are playwrights going to use some imagination? The curtain cord.
And he didn't see him get...
He sat there with his back to him, this man who's supposed to be bright, just waiting to be trussed up and gagged. Hey!
Oh my God. Like I said, a screwball comedy.
Now, Mortimer, if you don't mind, we'll finish the story in Grandfather's letter.
You were right about that fellow. He wasn't very bright.
Mortimer, I've been away for 20 years. But not once in all that time, my dear brother, have you been out of my mind. In Melbourne one night, I dreamed of you. Now, Mortimer, we go to work. This calls for something special.
No, Johnny, not the Melbourne method. 2 hours. And when it was all over, what? The fellow in London was just as dead as the fellow in Melbourne.
We had to work too fast in London. There was no aesthetic satisfaction in it. But Melbourne, there was something to remember.
Johnny, please, for me, the quick way.
But this must really be an artistic achievement. After all, we are performing before a most distinguished critic.
Okay, Johnny, but I've got to have a drink. I can't do this without a drink.
Oh, yes, they're together, Doctor.
I've got to have a drink. This afternoon there was some wine. Remember?
Despite this being a screwball comedy, Karloff still is playing a major villain. This is so funny. I wish I had known this before. I would have tried to watch this film much earlier than now.
And when I finally landed in San Francisco, I felt a strange satisfaction. Once more, I was in the same country. With you.
Look, Johnny. You got the drink. We both need a drink.
1 moment, Doctor. Please. Where are your manners? Yes, Mortimer. I realize now that it was you who brought me back to Brooklyn. We drink to you. Doctor, to my dear, dead brother.
Damn that idiot. He goes next. That's all he goes. No, not Teddy. That's where I stopped, not Teddy. Teddy first. I won't do it, Johnny. No, I won't do it. The colonel's got to stop blowing that horn at the second time tonight.
All right, officer. We're taking the bugle away from him.
It's about time.
Enough is enough.
Why not?
We
promised the neighbors he wouldn't blow that bugle again.
Lieutenant Rooney's on his way here now, and he's fit to be tied. He says the colonel's got to be put away tonight.
It won't happen again, gentlemen. Good night. Good night.
All right. Arrest that man! He's a murderer!
Hey, what do you think? Just a minute, you.
All right. What's going on around here? You heard me. I'm turning him in. He tried to kill me.
All right, Mortimer. Now I'll do some turning in. You think my aunts are sweet, charming old ladies. There are 13 bodies buried in their cellar.
Teddy! Teddy!
What the devil are you talking about?
You better be careful what you're saying, mister. Your aunts happen to be very good friends of ours.
13 bodies? I'll show you where they're buried.
Oh, yeah?
All right, Abe. Go on down the cellar with him.
I'm not so sure I want to be down the cellar with him. Look at that pussy. Looks like Boris Karloff.
Ah! Hey, what the? Hey, Pat, get him off him! What do you think you're doing?
Oh my God.
You know about that?
Come in!
Oh.
What are you guys doing here? I told you that I... What happened? Did he put up a fight? This ain't even the guy that blows the bugle. This is his brother. He tried to kill Klein.
All I said was he looked like Boris Karloff.
Turn him over. We kind of think he's wanted somewhere. Oh, you kind of think he's wanted somewhere. Don't you guys ever read the circulars we hang up in the station? Certainly he's wanted. In Indiana. He escaped from the prison for the criminal insane. That's how he was described. He looked like Karloff.
Was there reward mentioned?
Yeah, and I'm claiming it. He tried to get us in the cellar.
He said there was 13 bodies buried down there.
13 bodies buried in the cellar? And that didn't tip you off? But there are 13 bodies in the cellar.
Who are you?
I'm President Roosevelt.
Who is this?
This is the guy that blows the bugle.
Good evening, Colonel.
Well, Colonel, you have blown your last bugle. Dear me, another yellow fever victim. What? All the bodies in the cellar are yellow fever victims. No, Colonel, this is a spy we caught in the White House. Take that guy out of here and bring him too. If there's any questioning of spies, that's my department. You keep out of this. You're forgetting, as president, I'm also head of the Secret Service.
Captain, I'm Mortimer Brewster.
Are you sure?
Yes, Captain.
Lieutenant Rooney.
Lieutenant, here are Teddy's commitment papers, all in order, and I've signed them as next of kin.
Where's he going?
Happydale.
All right. I don't care where he goes, as long as he goes tonight.
Sir, I just wanted you to understand that everything around here, Teddy's responsible for. Now, those 13 bodies in the cellar.
Yeah. It ain't enough that the neighbors are complaining about his disturbing the peace, blowing that bugle. But what do you think would happen if that cockeyed story about 13 bodies in the cellar got around? And now he's starting a yellow fever scare.
13 bodies? You suppose anyone would believe a story like that?
Well, you never can tell. Some people are just dumb enough. Only last year, some wise guy started a murder rumor over in Greenpoint. I had to dig up a half an acre lot just to prove...
Excuse me. Come in. Mr. Witherspoon, I'm Mortimer Brewster. How kind of you to come at this hour. Lieutenant Rooney, this is Mr. Witherspoon, the superintendent of Happydale.
Oh, I'm glad you're here, Super, because you're taking that bugle blower back with you tonight.
Yes, I know. Matter of life and death.
Here are his commitment papers. All in order.
Insubordination. You men will find out I know mollycoddle. When the President of the United States is treated like that, what's this country coming to? There's your man, Super.
Mr. President, I have very good news for you. Your term of office is over.
Is this March the 4th?
Practically.
Well, let's see now. Oh, yes! Now I go on my hunting trip to Africa. Well, I must get started immediately. Is he trying to move into the White House before I move out?
Who, Teddy?
Taft.
Oh, that isn't Taft, Teddy. That's Mr. Witherspoon. He's to be your guide in Africa.
Bully! I'll bring down my equipment. When the safari gets here, tell him to wait.
Goodbye, Aunt Abby. Goodbye, Aunt Martha. Isn't it wonderful? I'm on my way to Africa. Charge!
Oh, hello, Elaine. We have visitors. My, but you're up late.
This is Mr. Witherspoon, the superintendent of Happydale.
Mr. Witherspoon, how do you do?
You've come to meet Teddy.
He's come to take him.
And this is Lieutenant Rooney.
Lieutenant Rooney.
How do you do, Lieutenant?
My, you don't look like the fuss budget the policemen say you are.
Aunties, the police want Teddy to go to Happydale tonight.
Oh, no.
Oh, not while we're alive.
I'm sorry, Miss Brewster, but it has to be done. The papers are signed, and he's going along with the superintendent.
No, we won't permit it. We'll promise to take the bugle away from
We
him.
won't be separated from Teddy.
I'm sorry, ladies, but the law is the law. He's committed himself, and he's going.
Well, if Teddy goes, we're going too.
Yes. You'll have to take us with him.
Why not? Why not?
It's impossible. We can't take sane people at Happydale.
Let's be sensible about this, ladies. It ain't only his bugle blowing, but sooner or later we'd be put to the trouble of digging up your cellar.
Our cellar?
Yeah, your nephew's been telling it around that there are 13 bodies in your cellar.
But there are 13 bodies in our cellar.
If that's why you think Teddy has to go away, you come down to the cellar with us and we'll prove it to
Yes.
you.
Oh, there is one, a Mr. Spinalzo, who doesn't belong here and who will have to leave. But the other 12 are our gentlemen.
I don't think the lieutenant wants to go down in the cellar. He was telling me that only last year he had to dig up a half-acre lot, weren't you, Lieutenant?
That's right.
Oh, you wouldn't have to dig here. The graves are all marked. We put flowers on them every Sunday.
Flowers. Super. Don't you think you can find room for these ladies?
No. They'd have to commit themselves.
Oh, Mr. Witherspoon, if you let us go live there with Teddy, we'll see that Happydale is in our will, and for a very generous amount.
How about it, Super?
Well, if they really want to live there and can afford it, I don't
we can
see.
afford it.
Lord knows we could use the money.
Lieutenant! He's coming around, Lieutenant.
Oh, hello, Mr. Klein.
Are you here, too?
Sign them up, Super. I want to get this mess all cleaned up. 13 bodies.
You'll have to commit yourselves, of course.
Oh, if we can go with Teddy, we'll sign any papers.
Martha, I am really looking forward to going. The neighborhood here has changed so.
Just think of front lawn again.
Mr. Brewster, you're prepared to sign as next of kin?
Oh, yes.
When do you think they'll be ready to start?
Mr. Witherspoon, why don't you go upstairs and tell Teddy just what he can take along?
Upstairs?
I'll show you.
No, you stay here, dear. Yes, Mr. Witherspoon. Right this way, upstairs, and the first door to the right.
Mortimer, now that we are moving, this house really is yours, and you'll need a home when you and Elaine are married.
Well, darling, that's very indefinite.
Nothing of the sort. We're going to be married right away.
Mortimer, we're really very worried about something. Do you think they'll investigate those signatures?
Oh, I shouldn't think so. Why?
Well, you're signing as next of kin.
Yes, of course. Why not?
Well, it's something we never wanted you to know, dear, but now that you're a man, and it's something Elaine ought to know, too, but you see, dear, you're not really a Brewster. Your mother came to us as a cook, and you were born about 3 months afterwards. But she was such a sweet woman and such a good cook that we didn't want to lose her, so Brother married her.
I'm not really a Brewster?
Don't feel too badly about it, dear.
And Elaine, it won't make any difference to you.
Elaine, did you hear? I'm not a Brewster. I'm an accident.
Oh, darling.
Oh, Jesus.
Take him along. Don't need the wagon. My car's out front.
Oh, Jonathan, are you leaving now?
Yes, he's going back to Indiana. There's some nice people there that want to take care of him for the rest of his life.
Well, Jonathan, it's nice to know you have some place to go to.
We're leaving, too.
Yes, we're going to Happydale.
Then this house has seen the last of the Brewsters.
Well, if unless Mortimer wants to stay.
I have a suggestion to make. Why don't you turn this property over to the church?
Oh, we never thought of that.
After all, it should be part of the cemetery.
All right, let's get going.
Goodbye, aunties. I can't bet on my record now, but neither can you. At least I have that satisfaction. The score stands even. 12 to 12.
Jonathan, Jonathan always was a mean boy. He never could stand to see anyone get ahead of him.
I just wish we could show him he isn't so smart.
Where is everyone? Mr. Brewster, it's time we were getting along. Teddy will be right down. Mr. Brewster! Miss Brewster! Where is everybody?
Mr. Witherspoon.
Oh, there you are.
Mr. Witherspoon, does your family live with you at Happydale?
I have no family.
Oh, but I suppose you consider everyone at Happydale your family.
I'm afraid you don't quite understand. As head of the institution, I must remain quite aloof.
That must make it very lonely for you.
It does, but my duty is my duty.
Well, Martha. Well, I think the least we could do is offer you a glass of elderberry wine.
Elderberry wine?
Yes, we make it ourselves.
Do you have your own elderberry bushes?
No, but the cemetery next door is full.
Of course, our relationship at Happydale will be much more formal, but here, well, one doesn't see much elderberry wine nowadays. I thought I'd had my last glass of it.
Oh, no.
No. Here it is.
Okay. I actually really enjoyed that
In a moment,
film.
we'll tell you about the next event on the Hallmark Hall of Fame and bring you the names of tonight's cast. Arsenic and Old Lace.
A wonderful film. Surprisingly, Boris Karloff was funny and mysterious and villain in all the same movie.
Used on the stage
So,
by Howard Lindsay and Russell Crowe.
I actually thought this was a really good movie. I'd actually get a better version of it if I could. So if you love any of the films that you see this weekend, please make sure to go out there, find better versions, support the Boris Karloff charities, and also make sure to support other great actors who have been, kind of lost through time, like Boris Karloff. And please, feel free to come back for more filming or screenings this
Seen on
weekend.
NBC every Monday night in Thriller.
This is Charles Boyer. Tomorrow night, the Dick Powell Show will present a dramatic and humorous story of two men, a prison, and a lonely island. Join Theodore Bickel and me on the Dick Powell Show tomorrow night at 9, 8 Central Time here on NBC.